What's it been like? More than 2 years since I posted an update video? Hello all the crazy people out there, my name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. And let's talk about channels that are all about wizards and dragons and making games. So usually I will make an update post like this about once a month over on Patreon. But since there's going to be a lot in this one, I figured we might as well go and make a whole entire video about it. So let's get the embarrassing stuff out of the way first. I know I keep saying that I want to finally get a move on that 3D Wizards game. And things keep happening that keep delaying it, and this time it turns out the delay is because apparently when I was getting set up on this new computer, I somehow deleted the Unity project that I was using for level design. Most everything else came over okay, like most of my important files were just on a separate hard drive that I just plugged into the new computer, like without any drama. I don't know if I assumed that I had a backup copy of it somewhere else, or if like that was the backup copy or something, and I just deleted the GameMaker Unity project when I was cleaning up a little bit. But anyway, long story short, I'm going to have to eventually rewrite that Unity export code. You would also think that I would have had it on source control, and I have like a very old version of it on source control somewhere, but apparently not like the whole thing or anything. Anyway, good job me. This is why you're all supposed to be using source control. So whenever I get around to correcting that little mistake, 3D Wizards will be back, hopefully with no future nonsense, and we can be on with our lives. Anyway, other kinds of videos. So for most of the last, 5 years, I've had a list of videos that I wanted to make. Some of them were very planned out, like 3D collisions in GameMaker, and other things were a lot more flying by the seat of my pants, like whenever a new GameMaker update comes out with something interesting in it. And there were a couple of videos that were specifically audience requests, but for the most part, the videos that got made were things that had been on the list for a long time. 5 years on, that list is starting to get a little bit shorter, and in the last couple of months I've been allocating a lot more time to video requests. So video requests on the stuff that tends to get covered on this channel are a bit more complicated than some people might think, because it's not always obvious what can be answered in 10 minutes versus what will turn into 40 videos and 2.5 years of my life. Anyway, there are some things that tend to get asked for a lot, and I'll leave it up to your imagination to get what those things might be. But I do want to finally get a bunch of those knocked out in the next few weeks/months. Now, there's a couple qualifications for this. The first one is that there's a couple of things that people ask for that I am just not going to cover until GMRT comes out. Anything in 3D that involves a cube map is going to be a lot easier in GMRT, at least assuming that it comes out working the way that Yo-Yo Games says it will. Anything that involves, faking instance geometry is going to be a lot easier in GMRT. Anything that involves, hacking the fragment shader to do weird things, to imitate compute shaders, I'm just not going to do, because I'm just going to wait until we have real compute shaders. There's also a couple of things that you could do now, like vertex texture sampling using a GameMaker extension, which I'm just not going to do because you can just do that without the extension in GMRT. There was a time where I might have been more interested in doing that sort of thing, but as it happens, I'm not getting any younger, and I don't want to spend a great deal of time doing something that will suddenly be obsolete in 2 years because it's trivial to do in GMRT. And I'd rather spend that time making videos on stuff that's going to at least conceivably be useful to people. So speaking of time and money, the second qualification on that is that I am going to finally start doing the traditional YouTuber thing, and I'm going to be giving more priority to requests that come in through Patreon. So I don't want this to turn into me complaining a lot, and I wish I didn't have to rules lawyer this, but there have been a number of instances in the past where, let's just say, people haven't been super respectful of the amount of time that it takes to do this. On average, I'm going to say that it probably takes 8 to 12-ish hours to put together your average GameMaker video. So I'm going to go and put priority video requests in the $7 a month Patreon tier, and you can decide for yourself if you think that is a reasonable rate. Again, this is still not a guarantee that any given subject will be covered immediately, for reasons that have been previously discussed, and of course I will still be looking at all the other requests. I will just be more likely to get to them later rather than sooner. Alright, I don't like talking about money, so what else we got? So, GameMaker did not post a yearly update this year. The prevailing theory is because they still haven't gotten to 75% of the stuff that they promised last year. Which means that screaming about GameMaker did not happen this year. But because some of us live for the nonsense, Tabular Elf and I have been talking about just doing one again anyway. It's probably going to pertain a lot to the end of current runtime and the beginning of GMRT. It's probably going to also involve a lot of things like Feather and Arnold 2 and the package manager, and possibly other items of contemporary interest of that nature. We haven't settled on a who, what, where, when, how, and why. Well, I guess the where would be here, wouldn't it? We haven't settled on most of the details yet, but it's probably going to happen sometime in the middle of August. I'll make another post about that when the time gets nearer. And lastly, I realize this is somewhat short notice. There will be another GameMaker meetup in Brooklyn, New York, coming up in a few days on Wednesday, the 23rd of July. For whatever reason, the meetup page says Friday, the 23rd of July, but the 23rd of July is not a Friday, and I have it on good authority that it is indeed that Wednesday. If you've been to the past GameMaker Brooklyn meetups, it's in the same place, 53 Bridge Street in Brooklyn, 3rd floor, Gumbo. And barring the possibility of a public transit meltdown, I will be there. There will be someone from GameMaker there. People will be showing off games. I'll have duck stickers. You know how it goes. So I think that's it. My name is Michael. I like Wizards and Dragons and making games. I will have links to the Patreon and the GameMaker meetup page and anything else that might be relevant to what I talked about in the description of the video. You should all go check out Wizarducks and the Lost Hat, which is one of the games that I like to work on when I'm not doing YouTube stuff. Link to that Steam page can be found down below as well. Thanks for making it to the end of an update video, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Squarecrow, SpyDie Games, Manta Ray, GameMaker, GameArt Indie, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Bokeh Dev for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.